Nearly 40 million people, the whole population of California, are under new orders tonight.
We direct a statewide order for people to stay at home.
On March 19th, 2020, the governor of California passed an immediate shelter-in-place order as a means to contain a virus spreading throughout the country. Within days, international crossing was banned. Less than 1 week prior, I returned from a road trip that was unknowingly my last opportunity to leave my house for a long time. I've spent a little over a month living in my car and having just about nothing but a camera. Although I had way less resources, the experiences that I took away from this month were much more valuable than anything sitting in my house right now. This film serves as a reminder to myself and anyone else that you have the freedom and ability to make your own choices and to follow what brings you fulfillment in your current experience. This story starts off in LA. I just dropped out of school, I didn't have a job, and the lease at my apartment was ending. I wanted to use this time to do something I've never done before. I made a spreadsheet of every city I wanted to visit, every friend I wanted to see, and mapped out exactly how long it would take. After I had everything packed, I left for the road trip that was set to last 1 month and 8 days. Month-long journey starts in one of my favorite towns, Santa Barbara, where the mountains are a 5-minute drive to the beach and every building downtown has a Spanish architecture build. Besides the oil that gets stuck to your feet in the water, this is one of the best places ever. On the top of the Santa Ynez Mountains, there's a mansion that got destroyed in a forest fire. It's known today as Knapp's Castle. My friend Chase and I went up here, and this ended up being the last time we got to visit before Knapp's Castle fully shut down due to construction.
Didn't we meet? We met in Ted Mills' production class. We were put into these groups to do a commercial, and there was like 5 or 6 of us. We got the Doritos commercial one. The first thing I ever said to you, I'm pretty sure, was something stupid like, "Oh, you probably get asked all the time, is English like your favorite class to take?" And you're like, "I've actually never been asked that before. It's alright."
That Halloween, we were put in a group project where we had to make a horror movie, and our editing hours consisted of getting out of class at 8 p.m. and editing until the next morning at 7 a.m.
And then I don't think we really started talking and hanging out until we did the next movie, which was the horror movie. You were my cameraman. The second time was like 10 straight hours of editing. I have never been with someone for 10 hours that wasn't someone I was living with, and I didn't hate them by the end of it. I actually was having fun, and like when it got to like 7 a.m. I like wasn't even tired. I don't even think you were that tired either. And we were honestly like, oh, like we had class and we had to leave. But I was kind of like, I want to hang out. How much money would you need to have to walk all the way out to the edge?
$1.
$1?
Everyone in our film program was so nice, and I remember on the last day of the semester, our professor got us to eat this spicy shrimp, which is saying a lot because I don't like seafood.
Bro.
For being a city college, this place brought a lot of people from different areas.
Scene 1, take it.
Oh my god.
I was born and raised in a small town in the Bay Area called Morgan Hill. Super boring place if you're a minor. Literally the only thing we would do is like we'd find like a parking lot and we would just like smoke weed. Someone maybe would put burnets in a water bottle and we'd sneak it and like drink it. Like that's literally like the most fun thing to do in Morgan Hill. So I didn't want to stay there. So I dipped the fuck out. Once I found out that there was a city college in Santa Barbara and they had a film program, I was like, okay. There's literally like no competition. I was like, okay, fuck it, like I'm going there. So basically going to SBCC got me into like the actual production side of making movies. It's like war flashbacks to PE.
Visiting Chase and going to Knapp's Castle was such a good way to start off the trip. Originally, I had planned to drive to Big Sur directly after this, but I ended up going down to Riverside for a live session video shoot with my band.
So Tommy was just at the show because he's our friend, and we played a show, and after the set, I was like, I don't know, I think we should get another guitar player, and then Tommy was just walking by, and I said, Tommy, do you want to play guitar in the band? And he's like, yeah. And I've known Tommy since I was like 16, 17.
Okay.
And we met at a house show around here, actually.
This guy's all over the place.
Oh yeah.
He's, you
This
know.
guy's like a traveler.
But we don't know. Yeah, he'll
Yeah, he's like, okay, so you know like John Muir, like the guy who was like obsessed with nature, and then like just like he would just travel a lot, and he was just like he would up and go and just be like, oh, now I'm on like this side of the county, and people were like, okay, so that's what Tommy is, but like for this, well, like with this state, like sometimes it's like, oh, like Tommy, like I'll see him on a Friday, right? Next day he's in Washington.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
I'm like, what?
Yo, Tommy's in Arizona right now.
I ended up pushing back my drive to Northern California, and this rescheduling actually was a better decision in the long run, which I'll explain later on. So after Santa Barbara, I made a quick stop in Riverside.
I miss when I knew
Drove straight to Big Sur that night and got there around midnight. Online, I found a pinpoint advertised as free camping, and this led me down a dark, unpaved road with a sign at the end of it. No overnight camping or sleeping in vehicles. Guess what I'm gonna do? So I made it to Big Sur. I'm on some dirt road right now, about to sleep in my parked car. You're probably thinking this is the dumbest situation that you can put yourself in. To sleep in a car where there's signs saying don't sleep here. Well, here's footage from the next day. This spot worked out really well. The plan today is go through Big Sur, stop by Monterey along the way, and I'll be meeting up with my friend Jack in Santa Cruz tonight. My next stop was in another one of my favorite towns. Just on the other side of Monterey Bay, I came to Santa Cruz. Earlier in the trip, I pushed back my arrival date here so I can make it to Riverside for the video shoot. Because of this, I was coming into town at the same time as one of my good friends from high school, Layla. Before she flew in, my friend Jack and I spent the week hiking redwoods and going to the beach, and playing Guitar Hero. And at the end of the week, we picked up Layla from the airport.
I overheard that she was 19. She's got a fake ID and a nose ring. Those kind of girls tend to know things better than I do. And I'm dying to figure out what she's hiding. Just playing it cool, but she's lying better than I do.
I met Jack and Layla because our friend Rylan got suspended from middle school and ended up transferring to my school.
Rylan got suspended for writing Borders is a bitch on Miss Borders' wall, and then his mom made him go to Degano, and then he kept hitting me up. He's like, yo, like, I don't have any friends over there, but I keep seeing this kid wearing like Blink-182 shirts at PE, so I think I'm gonna talk to him. And then Rylan brought Tommy around, and we were all down. We were probably 13 and been playing gigs ever since.
Just like Jack, Rylan got suspended. He met you through SDA. I started hanging out with Jack and Rylan in the end of elementary school. You guys formed a band together. I think the first time we met was probably at your house. It was like some practice and they were like, you should come. And I was like, okay.
I grew up going to surf contests at Steamer Lane with my family, and Santa Cruz has always been one of my favorite places to come to. But I didn't realize how many strange things you can find in the redwoods until Jack brought us to some spots like these rock gardens. There were rocks stacked everywhere and different notes tucked under them. We went to a koi pond, we climbed a very tall tree, and we also went to this very dangerous zip line.
Oh no,
Santa Cruz. I've been here like maybe only twice before I decided to move here. Always loved it, always felt like home. We got mountains, we got these forests, like 5 minutes from the beach. Good spot to be.
the trip continues through a 2-lane death trap called the 17 freeway. Jack, Layla, and I stayed in an Airbnb in San Jose. This house had a skate ramp leading to the front door and a tree house in the backyard. This tree house was also filled with flamingos and Jesus props everywhere. What was really cool about this week is we all haven't seen each other in so long, and we're still the same people that would spend half of our allowance on Rubio's or throw house shows and get the cops called on us, but we've also all grown in such different ways.
I've been wanting to reach out to you guys more because I miss you guys so much. It's so weird being in college and not having that same really stable group of friends where we were all so in it and we loved each other so much, and I don't know, I've been missing that, so I want that back.
Completely unintentionally, that Airbnb was right down the street from where my friend Leela lives.
Perfect. So we'll just have a beer.
Not only Leela and all of her housemates are very creative and talented in their own way, but they've got some good interior design skills as well. Every time I come up, something insane happens. San Jose has never been a place that I've been too much, but because of Leela and all of her friends, I get really excited anytime I come up to San Jose.
I've known since I was 6 or 7 probably that I've wanted to live in the Bay Area. I looked at San Jose State and I really liked the campus, I really liked the vibe, and I read more about the music department and the professors there, and I thought it was a good fit, and I'm glad I chose it. Which do you prefer? Or just
Everyone in the house gets along like family. They're all from San Diego, they all do something creative like music or illustrating, but none of them met until moving to San Jose.
So last year in the dorms, we all lived in the same building, and we were always hanging out on the arts and music floor. Almost everyone was a music major or art major. I didn't live there, but I was always hanging out there. All my friends were there, and my roommate Helen lived there. We just got along really well. We got in this really big friend group of 10 people, and we were the only girls in it, so we were let's move in together. Let's get a cute little house and live together, and it's worked out really well, and we're all very creative people. It's really nice.
My next stop was in Humboldt County in the city of Arcata. Coming up, I visited my friend Casey, who works at the Activity Center at Humboldt State. So not only did she have so many resources for maps, lots of maps, but she had so many cool facts and knew so much about the redwoods in the area.
All this stuff that we're seeing is redwood sorrel. It's purple underneath, and it tastes like lemons.
Casey and I met at a concert in Irvine, thanks to the band The Wonder Years.
I met Tommy in fucking 2012 at a concert in SoCal. I met him and his whole group of homies. I saw him walking around in a Wonder Years shirt that was signed, and I ran up to him and was like, "Did you meet them today?" He was like, "No, this is from Warped Tour or whatever." So I knew he was a big fan. I knew we were gonna be homies, and then we hung out the whole night.
It's really cool to see how live music has impacted so many people's lives. Knowing Casey is kind of a reminder of how important live shows are, not just for the sense of supporting other musicians, but also having fun with it and making friends.
I went to my first show at Chain Reaction to see the Wonder Years, and I just saw how inspirational being in a group setting like that was. I didn't really have homies in high school who were super close to me, and so going to shows and being vulnerable with a group of people was super key in me becoming a more social, interactive person.
One weird thing about Humboldt is there's steam coming off of everything here. The trees, the buildings, some of the people.
I like Humboldt because I like being in the outdoors. So this is a great break from LA and just SoCal in general. I like coming out here and taking my time, being alone, and just soaking up the green space.
One of the last things Casey and I did in Humboldt was drive to the coast and visit Trinidad. Made it into Oregon! Just past the state line and 287 more miles until Portland.
Wrapped around your finger, I'd spend my whole life tied in ways to have.
Why did Tiger just try to wake me down?
Everything was alright. close but not quite.
3 biggest things I've noticed about Oregon. 1, no taxes. 2, at every gas station they fill up your car for you. And I was not used to that at first. And 3, there's tsunami evacuation signs at every beach town.
With you it's like I'm coming home again. Baby, you're hands down the best thing about me.
While passing through Oregon, my friend who does photography reached out to me saying that she's shooting a show in Eugene. So that same day, I ended up in Eugene. After driving through most of the state of Oregon and still getting used to somebody else filling up my gas tank, I finally made it to Portland. I visited my friend Carly. Before she moved to Portland, we would stay up until like 4 a.m. recording music, and once I got to Portland, we did exactly that. Except for the 4 a.m. part. We just spent an entire day messing around on Logic. Carly and I met because my freshman year of high school, I failed a Spanish class. While retaking it the next year, I ended up in the same class as her.
We met my freshman year of high school, the first day of high school. We had Spanish class together, and you were wearing a Green Day shirt, and I was like, hey, sick Green Day shirt. And you were like, oh, thanks. That was like the beginning of our friendship.
So we were put into the same class together, but what got us talking was realizing that we were into the same music.
I remember being a kid and I loved so much In I Miss You by Blink-182, where Tom is like, where are you? I loved how his voice sounded so much. And so when I found that there was a whole genre of music that sounded like that, I was like, oh my god, I'm all over this.
The next day we went to different parks and explored downtown Portland. One of my favorite memories with Carly was about 4 years ago, on the way back from a show in San Francisco with my old band Headstone. We were passing through Big Sur and pulled over at one of the viewpoints, and all of a sudden, a van pulls up.
I was with a couple friends. I had a friend, Brooke, that had a van, and we just took it up the coast, and we're driving through Big Sur, and all of a sudden, I just hear Brooke go, holy shit, is that Tommy? And she's driving so fast, and she pulls into this viewpoint, and I look out the window and you're there. You were on tour with your band at the time. We all just bust out of the van and we're like, yo! We all just hugged and hung out for 15 minutes, and it was at sunset. It was so pretty, and it was just so random. What are the odds that that happens?
We spent the rest of our time shooting photos, going to record stores, and exploring the freezing town that is Portland.
No matter how perfect San Diego is, I had just lived there my whole life. I had never lived anywhere else. I need something new. I need a fresh chapter. I had always thought about coming to college here just because it's beautiful and it's the weird place, weird town. It's a hub for music and art and creativity, and there's just a ton of artists here. So I kind of just said fuck it and was like, I'm gonna move to Portland. I can always come back. I've met a lot of really cool people out here. It's beautiful, just playing music, going to shows. The music scene here is great. So it's been really cool.
My next stop was in Bellingham, Washington. I visited one of my best friends, Haley. We grew up together, we graduated high school together, we studied abroad together, backpacked through Europe, and she's been one of my longest friends. First thing we did was meet up with her friend James, and we all went skating just outside of town.
Philip's living up in Chicago, Maddie's working hard in Ohio, Dixie and Chris are very far away. Johnny and the Ricker in Michigan, we try to see each other whenever we can, but there's only...
But when I mean we, I mean James went skating while Haley and I struggled.
Oh, you did not do it.
What are the notes, the progression?
E, A. Very nice.
Very nice. Haley and I met, I think, through Facebook. We went to middle school together, and I remember bonding over Blink with her.
We met in 7th grade at Gagno Middle School. I think you were wearing a Blink t-shirt. We started talking, hanging out.
Haley was one of the few students at my school that were into the same music and also played an instrument. And we also have like different branches of music that we're into. So it's interesting to kind of hear her background in starting music.
I started playing piano by ear, and I just would hear my brother practice, and then I would go and like try and play it. And my mom finally was like, okay, we should get her to have piano lessons too. So I did that, and I loved it, and I played piano for like 10 years. And then I kind of was getting more interested in like a instrument like drums or guitar or bass. And my dad showed me punk music as a kid, and I always loved it, and I really wanted to play more music like that instead of like a classical piano. I was in one band in high school, and then I'm in another band right now. Listen.
Alright, we're at the border right now, going to Canada.
We got Haley here, we got Maddie in the back.
Maddie B! You live so close to the border.
I know, it's like, what, 30 minutes?
Vancouver, here we come.
He's making a documentary, his entire trip, and he's making like a whole film about it.
It was considered unpatriotic to say that a German Uber could also be a madman.
Final point, which means that I had 1,160 miles until I'm back home. I had 2 more major stops on the way back, which are Seattle and San Francisco. But before leaving Bellingham, Haley showed me around her campus at Western Washington University, and we went to a small coffee shop where the band Death Cab for Cutie had their first show.
They met here at Western, they formed a band, they played at the Underground Coffee House.
This is the stage that Death Cab started on. I always found it so cool how a band starting like that can play shows this small and also grow to play sold out venues. Like here in Seattle. Ironically, Death Cab is playing in Seattle right now. Just came from Bellingham to Seattle, got a hostel, and gonna be spending the night in Seattle tonight. So I was walking around Seattle and I was like, I want to find a cool lookout spot, but I don't know anywhere in Seattle. So I walk into this art exhibit and I see this cool painting, and next to it I had a sign saying Gasworks Park. So I brought it up on my maps, came here during sunset, and got here at a really cool time. glad I made that decision to come here. Getting back to California, the first thing I did was get a burrito in San Francisco. I met up with my friend Garrett and we visited Sutro Baths, Jimi Hendrix's old house with this bird that would knock it off my shoulder, SF State, and we also saw a band called Juice Bumps, where the entire band dressed up as milkmen, and were also selling that milk during the show. Oh, and I also visited Twin Peaks when I was there, and then continued heading south. Having an inconsistent schedule and being in different places every other day made me realize the value of being in a good environment and a healthy routine. It's okay to make dumb decisions and learn from them while doing it on your own terms. But the friendships that form in live settings, which are now distant memories wrapped up in out-of-business signs, have carried through to be a reminder that your passions and interests draw you to the people in your life.
I saw him walking around in a Wonder Years shirt. You were wearing a Green Day shirt.
I think you were wearing a Blink t-shirt.
Yo, like, I don't have any friends over there, but I keep seeing this kid wearing, like, Blink-182 shirts at PE. So I think I'm gonna talk to him.
Doing these interviews was kind of a reminder of how much of an impact just talking to someone new can have on your life.
Just the fact that I saw you wearing a t-shirt and like said something to you, the likelihood of us actually even talking is super slim. So I have a feeling like without shows we might not have met.
I never even saw you on campus unless it was during my class. I don't think I would have known you at all if it wasn't for that.
I don't know if our relationship would have been the same if we weren't like playing music together from that early on. It definitely would have been a different dynamic, I think, but I feel like we would have run into each other, no doubt. Like, we still both would have been playing music and like both would have come across each other at some point.
An opportunity to experience something like this might have to skip a generation if the world doesn't open up in time. But until then, I get to reflect on the beauty of serendipity, which allowed me to catch up with faces I hadn't seen in years, and a lot of these people I might not see for a long time. Regardless of the current state of the world, there's a lot of really exciting things that hold in for the future. Haley graduated from Western Washington, Casey graduated from Humboldt State, Carly and I are working on a media organization with our friend Megan called Fresh Squeezed. This is made to promote music and record live sessions, and I've started school at UC Santa Cruz studying film and digital media. And Layla started at UCSC too, studying biology. So although the current state of the world is not in a good condition, our own decisions of how to respond to this is completely up to us. Any opportunity to meet a new person or explore a new place, these decisions really can change your life. Just make sure to make it back before a global pandemic hits.
I was scared of dentists and the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. All my friends are turning green. Yeah, the magician's assistant in their dream. Oh.